Hello, everyone. Here we are with our weekly dialogue. Today I'm sitting here with Nita and Sunil Wadhwani in their beautiful home. And thank you, Nita and Sunil, for agreeing for this time today. Sunil, my first question is for you. As an entrepreneur, maintaining a positive relationship with oneself is vital. How do you manage stress and manage a sense of well being amongst the demands of running a successful business, which you still do and keep busy? What is your secret?
That's a great question. What I do personally is anytime things get too stressful, I remind myself about the fundamentals in life. That I have a wonderful family, not only Nita and our children, but the family I grew up in, my parents, my brothers, great values, great role models. So I'm just very thankful that I was part of a family like that, and I have a family now with Nita and the children. So I remind myself of that. I remind myself about the good health in our family. Touch wood, everyone's healthy so far, no issues. That's a huge blessing. I remind myself about the love in our family. Not all families have that. Very grateful for that. And finally, in our family, touch wood, we've all been successful. Successful doesn't only mean money. Success comes in many dimensions. So I just remind myself about these few fundamental things. That I have a wonderful family. We're healthy. We love each other. We're doing well. We have a good set of friends. Beyond that, anything else that may not be going well in life is not that important. So as they say, don't sweat the small stuff, and a lot of life is small stuff.
Well, you and Ashok Trivedi have been good friends and business partners. What are the key elements that you were able to do that?
Very simple. It comes down to just three words, four words: mutual trust and respect. Ashok and I are very different personalities, extremely different in multiple ways. But I think that's one of the things that adds to the partnership, that we are different, we approach issues sometimes differently, we think of different perspectives on things. So when you combine both of our thinking, it becomes much more powerful than just one of us thinking about that. But beyond that, as I said, the biggest thing in any successful partnership, whether it's a business partnership, whether it's a marriage, comes down to mutual trust and respect. Ashok and I have always had that. We've been business partners for over 35 years. We had it then, and touch wood, we still have it now.
Well, apart from business, you and Nita are very involved in philanthropy. Where does your passion for giving back comes from? What is the source of that?
The source of that, very simply, is a sense of gratitude. I was very fortunate. I grew up in India to a middle class family. I'm Sindhi, our family is from Sindh. So my parents and grandparents and their forefathers have been very successful in Sindh, really in professional ways. They were physicians, surgeons, educators, etc. But at the time of partition, they left everything and came over, started again, they came as refugees to India, and had to start from scratch. So when I look at their examples and what they've done, I'm just really thankful. So I was born into this family that had this regard for education. So they put me into a very good school, the best school we could afford. Because of that, I was able to go to IIT, the Indian Institute of Technology. Because of that, I was able to come to Carnegie Mellon here in the US. Because of that, I started a company, etc., etc. If I'd been born just a quarter mile away in a slum in Delhi or Bombay, life would have been so different. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have had all these opportunities. Mm-hmm. So that's what really drives me, that I was fortunate, I was able to get educated and do well. Millions of people aren't that fortunate just because of the circumstances they're born into. So I think for those of us that are blessed and do well in life, I think it's our responsibility, our accountability, that we should try and help others to the extent that we can.
Wonderful thoughts. Looking back at your entrepreneurial journey, what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur? What are the key things they need to watch out for?
Very short and very simple. In fact, to me, these three little rules for success that I'll give go for not just success as an entrepreneur, but success in any aspect of life, success as a pianist, as anything you might aspire to do. Very simple. Aim really high, work really hard, and believe in yourself. Aim for the stars, dream big dreams, but then to achieve those dreams, you have to work really, really hard. And along the way, there are always obstacles, always. To overcome those, you have to believe in yourself. So aim really high, work really hard, believe in yourself.
Thank you so much. Now let me turn to Nita. Nita, as a dedicated housewife, as a mother, how do you manage to maintain a harmonious relationship with this family and the philanthropic work you're doing?
In life, you have to know that you have to make compromises everywhere. By compromises, I don't mean sacrifices. It's just your responsibility, it's your duty. You have to do what is given to you and you have to try and do it well. There's no sense in complaining, there's no sense in doing anything. Everybody has duties that they have to fulfill, so you might as well do it the best you can.
Now, being a partner to a successful entrepreneur requires tremendous amount of courage and support. How have you been supporting Sunil throughout this journey while carrying on your dreams and your ambitions in this whole lifetime together?
I think I'd like to have even Sunil respond to that, but when we started out life, when we got married 36 years ago and we started life, we had many challenges, whether it was his work hours, starting a company, financial, but life was still good. I mean, we got along really well. So we did what we had to do, whether we had to survive on one meal a day or whether we had to make sure that the kids didn't do an activity so that would save up. We just did it because it had to be done. I supported him no matter what. I knew it was his dream. I think, Sunil, what would you say?
I would say there's no way any of this would have been possible without Nita's 200% support. She's been a rock from day one. As in fact, when we got married, our company had gotten started about a year before that. It was struggling, wasn't doing well. This was Pittsburgh in the late 1980s. There was no angel capital over here. There was no venture firms here at that time. This was a manufacturing town. We were a technology company. We weren't able to raise any financing. So Ashok and I financed this through our life savings, which was small to begin with. Those ran out very quickly. And in the first 18 to 24 months, we almost closed the business several times. So like Nita said, we went through, and that it was right in the middle of that we got married. So just imagine for Nita, who had just come from India, not only is it someone new now that she's living with, it's a new environment, the US versus India. It's a different kind of urban environment, Pittsburgh, which is a small town, versus Delhi, where Nita is from, which is a big, urban city. And then to come into a home as my wife, where we are struggling financially. And the hours, like Nita said, were very intense. So anyway, Nita was incredible all the way through. And through these 36 years, I mean, she has provided all the caring and support in the world. She is a great advisor. As an entrepreneur, my instinct for anything, for any organization is to grow. You've got to grow this, you've got to grow this. Nita provides the word of caution, saying, are you sure you want to add this other thing, you want to add that? And that's very wise. You have to think about both sides of it. So Nita has made a lot of sacrifices. Over the years, she takes care of the entire home, the children, everything, taking care of the monthly bills, overseeing all the home maintenance, our social life. Nita is the center of our social life. So all our friendships and so on. So she has done a lot and continues to do a lot.
So picking up on that, Nita, how do you manage to care for the home and the children and the maintenance and everything, bills? And on top of that, I know your passion is gardening, and you also care for yourself, your well-being. Not only that, you also care for other people, like my sister Marty. You've been caring for her as well. So what is
it's when I care for others or when I care for the home, there's more joy in it. When your home looks good or when the children have accomplished something, or whether it's my garden where I spend 2-3 hours a day, it gives a lot of joy, and it's very calming. It's almost zen, and I think just being around people, whether it's your sister or anybody else, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. I think they are giving to me. What I receive from them, there is more pleasure.
Mhm.
So please don't ever think or say, I just enjoy it.
Mhm.
They love me just as much, and that's all one can ask for. Their love, care, and their blessings is all that matters.
Well, that's wonderful. You see, my cap, my hat here says joyful.
Yes.
And I find that what the formula you have discovered, there's a book, Two Mountains. I don't know if you might have read it. The first mountain is the success, the usual things we do. And the second mountain, to be joyful, is to serve others. So, my question to you is, while you have done all this throughout your life, what are some of the memories both of you have created, which when you think back in this long journey, which immediately bring a delight to both of you?
I think our children,
Mhm.
they're a source of joy to us, and watching them grow, watching them being adults, watching them grow in their professional life, striving for success, and yet striving to create their own families. I think there's a lot of joy over there, and hopefully the children are also learning from us as we learn from our parents. Our parents also believed in giving back. Our parents also believed in education. So hopefully, they have also watched us, and we hope that they have also learned. What do you think?
Completely agree. That is the biggest, I think, legacy for us, which is our two children, daughter and a son. It's such a joy to see them having grown up to become self-competent, self-confident adults with really good values. That's the biggest thing. That they'll be successful, I have no doubt about, but the values that they've picked up, the fact that they're trying to that they are making their own way in life, working really hard, both of them, almost in spite of how well we've done. It's quite common that in families that have done well, sometimes, for children, there's less of a motivation.
Yeah.
Why should I work, etc. But touch wood, so far our kids are working as hard as we ever did to make their way in life, and that's the biggest joy for us.
Thank you. Nita, both of you seems to be very heavily involved in philanthropy. I heard from Sunil, what is driving you? What causes you to, what are the causes which inspire you, which you are passionate about?
Well, I'm involved. I used to be involved with the botanical garden in Pittsburgh, which is one of, like I recently know that you had gone to Phipps. So botanical garden is another place, and then I'm involved with the Cultural Trust, which does all the arts and shows, the Broadway shows, music, authors. They bring in a lot of arts to Pittsburgh. So I'm on their programming committee, and Sunil's on the board over there. So I'm quite involved with that, because I think it's very important for city to have arts as well as education. They go hand in hand. Arts and culture is an important reflection of how well the city is thriving. If there is arts and culture, then you definitely know that. And we have a really fabulous organization in Pittsburgh, and they bring in not only just the regular Broadway shows, but they bring in a lot of diverse shows, whether it's from India or China. So I'm quite involved with that, and I try and make sure that every year they bring in a program from India, whether it is Zakir Hussain or whether it's Shankar or any of the other people, that it's very important. And then I speak 7 languages fluently. So I work a lot with the refugees these days. As in Pittsburgh, we have a lot of families that have come from Afghanistan. So since I do speak the language, I'm able to work with the caseworkers or even with just the refugees in making sure that, they get their daily things that they need. I make sure that they can get to the social security office or whatever their needs may be. Because sometimes the translation gets lost between the caseworker and the refugee. So that brings me a lot of joy. And when I'm leaving, they're always standing there with their cup of tea, making sure that I have a cup of tea before I leave. So that's all one can ask for, So there's a lot of joy over there.
Well, thank you so much, both of you. This is my last question for you. That in spite of this immense financial success, how do you both manage to stay grounded and so humble?
I don't think we've tried. I think it's what we saw our parents live with values, and we just live with those. And I don't think we think of ourselves as any different. It's just who we are. I don't think of ourselves as you say, financial success or anything. I just think of that we are blessed, and we just live by the values that our parents have given us, and that's about it.
We recently did some research into our family tree. Soon after we got married, I found a family tree. It was given to me by one of my relatives for my family that went back 16 generations. That's almost 400 years. And we researched it, and it turns out it's quite accurate. So then we hired researchers, we looked at the lives of these families, forefathers. And what's amazing is that even 300 and 400 years ago, so as I said, we're from Sindh, which is now in Pakistan, but in those days, 1800s and early, until partition, it was all part of undivided India. So even going back 300 or 400 years, these were, a group of Muslim kingdoms run by Muslim rulers. But in those kingdoms, and in fact there was one particular one, my ancestors were very senior administrators. We are Hindus. So it was very unusual for Hindus to be in such senior positions when in a Muslim, in a Muslim kingdom. But they were there because of their education, because of their understanding of life and how things worked, because of their integrity, most of all. The Muslims knew that these people could be trusted. We're called Amils. We're Sindhis, but we're from a group of Sindhis called Amils who really value education. So throughout all these centuries, our family's been very educated. My grandfather on my mother's side was the Surgeon General for all of Sindh. My grandfather on my father's side was the headmaster of one of the largest schools in Sindh. So look at how much they've accomplished. It may not be money, but at that time when so much of India was illiterate, for them not only to be literate, but to achieve these levels, my grandfather, on my mother's side, the civil surgeon, he was a double FRCS, fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons. He had 2 of those. Very rare in India in those days. So to me, they were even more successful than we have been. We might have done well, from a money standpoint. But so I look back at this lineage, and I'm just happy that we're continuing some of that in some way. But we need to respect what they've done, because without them, without my grandparents, my parents, there's no way we could have done what we've done.
Thank you so much. I think I got my answer of the humility I was asking. Thanks again to both of you for such a lovely conversation. And I hope we all benefit from it and we get inspired from this inspirational couple. So join us again for the next conversation on well-being.